Yeah!
The name's Nuke, Mr. Nuke. As you might have guessed, there's a video about 007 First Light. At first, I thought this game was just gonna be another cash grab, just another licensed game slop, but I forgot who was making this game. IO Interact, the creators of Hitman, and oh, was I surprised of how good this game was.
No more, man.
Okay, what's the DS score? No one's messing with your head.
Get out of
Nobody's messing with your head.
Hand-to-hand combat was good, even though it was a little clunky at times. It was still fun. The armed combat was my favorite part of the gameplay, and the stealth, which I sucked at, but you could tell the stealth was probably the most fleshed out part of the game. It sucks that I, for the life of me, couldn't stay hidden, because a lot of the time I would just get caught or just not even try to sneak around. But when the stealth was done right, it was very satisfying. The gun gameplay was also very satisfying. My favorite weapon to use was the pistol. In my opinion, it's the best gun to use if you want to have an easy time, like let's say with a satisfying insta headshot. That'll give you an skill. Probably one of my favorite things to do with the pistol was like get on a vantage point and just pick everyone off. It was probably the best part, and for me, I really enjoyed doing that. The hand-to-hand combat was fun, but out of the three options, it's probably the worst. You mostly ever get into hand-to-hand in boss fights, like against the twins. Now, it hurts to say, but the bosses were the most disappointing part of the game. Like, they all just seem to be so mechanical. I don't know if that makes any sense, but all the combat seemed so cinematic and great. Like in one of the missions, you enter a dark room with like flashing red walls, and you get ambushed by a group of enemies, and it's so cool running around, dodging bullets and picking them all off one by one. It's pure cinema. But then you enter a boss fight, and you're reminded this is a video game, as most boss fights consist of, oh, activate this thing so you can stun the boss and get a few hits in and repeat that process so he dies. And it's just so underwhelming. I just wish they made the boss fights a little more cinematic, but what can you do? Spoiler alert ahead. Skip ahead if you don't want to hear this. Alright. Like with Damien was such a bad final boss. Like all you did with him was run around in circles with him and again pick him off. And then in the second phase with the turrets, it was kind of cool, but it seemed a little lazy. I just feel like they could have done so much more with the bosses, and it sucks that they didn't. The story was incredible. This was my first introduction to anything James Bond, and what an introduction. The story was so good. It shot this game up from being Game of the Year contender. And to be honest, I can see a world where First Light 007 wins the Game of the Year, and I wouldn't be mad if it happened. First Light this year has been one of my favorites. It's not my favorite game, and other people would agree with me. Other people really enjoying this game as much as I did. And how couldn't you love this game? It feels like a movie, but you can control James Bond. It's so fun, and the story will make you feel like a 00 agent. It's such a good game. For the rest of the video, I'll be going over the story, so if you don't want to get spoiled, I recommend you go play it. I guarantee you will enjoy it. But if you don't care about being spoiled, then you're welcome to stay. Let's begin. The game starts with us, James Bond, on an airplane. While on a recon mission, the airplane just blows up, and James Bond finds himself in a do-or-die mission where he has to save scientists. He saves both groups of scientists, but also during the mission, MI6 tells him that he has a 1% chance of saving the scientists, which of course is enough as James Bond is the GOAT. James and the scientists get cornered by the militia group. James gets the chance to blow the whole facility up or surrender and get killed. He of course chooses to blow the whole place up. But a month later, James gets called to MI6 HQ. That's where we meet Moneypenny, who leads us to meet M, who tells us that she's reviving the 00 program and she wants us to join, as she's impressed with what we did with blowing the whole facility up. But this whole thing has been we get called to M's office, where we are sent to our first mission. Go get 009, a traitor of MI6. She tells us to be careful because she wants us to give a package that has must need info for national security, but he will only give the package Greenway. We're sent there to have eyes everywhere, as 009 is known to be a master manipulator. We're also sent to Slovakia for the chess show. While looking around, we see a suspicious blonde man throwing a suitcase. We start looking around for him as James thinks that he might be working for 009. We go on a massive booth chase, try to find this guy, constantly changes outfits and disappears. While chasing this guy, we meet a maid who seems to be looking for the same thing. We run into Monroe, who tells us he's seen the blonde guy and starts helping us find this guy. We find a secret passage in the dining room where Monroe tells us that he has eyes on the blonde guy. James insists on breaking protocol and attacking him. Monroe agrees but says that this will be the last time he helps James out. A bit later, we find Monroe dead on the floor. We meet the twins and find out they've planted a bomb and are blowing the whole place up. But the blonde guy has been too. The whole time we get in a fist fight with them. After a while of fighting, they leave. As the bomb is about to explode, we hurry to shut it down. James succeeds and looks over at Monroe as he's dead, laying on the ground. As he realizes his friend is dead and it's his fault. But boom, there's another bomb. James wakes up, finds Cressida hurt, and Greenway gives the go-ahead, kill 009. We get into the car, but the maid from before gets in the car with us, helps us chase 009. We find ourselves on an airport where the maid leaves us, and we continue our chase. We fight our way into the airplane, but in old James Bond fashion, an explosion happens and we fly out. But before James falls out to his impending death, he takes his Q watch off, throws it into the plane as he guessed that there was a tracker on it. Some time passes and we're at the funeral of Monroe and the other 00 agents that passed. James blames himself for the deaths of them, especially Monroe. We also find out that Cressida is paralyzed after her injury. James also meets Chris Webb, CEO of Webb Industries, and the creator of Thea. But so is James, tells him that he sees something special. M calls James and Greenway into her office, telling us that what happened in Slovakia has become a diplomatic crisis and that the 00 program might be shut down as the Secretary Wright is looking to blame someone. So she tells us that she's sending us to Africa, as that's where a 009 plane was tracked down to. Money Penny lets us know about the maid who was with us. She's a 49-year-old French secret agent. It's not true. And also find out that the twins are 35-year-old mercenaries. Moving on to Africa, James and Greenway must track down 009. Balma, a ruthless pirate who rules over Aleph. He seems to be protecting 009, and we have to try to negotiate with Balma. Luckily, we know about his sister, and he has a soft spot for her, as she has been separated from him since childhood. These boys will use that info later. Right now, Greenway and Bond have to try to find a way into the auction, but they need 2 tickets and $100,000. They don't have that. Luckily, they are in Aleph and can find some cheeky ways to get those things. Greenway quickly gets those tickets through some contacts he finds at the market, and Bond gets into a bit of riffraff and get $100,000. We enter the auction just to find out Balma isn't there, but his right-hand man is. After winning the auction, they offer him the keys to the King of Aleph if he tells us where 009 is. He accepts, but once we get to 009, he has been killed. After looking around, Bond believes that 009 was trying to tell Greenway, which leads us to a nearby ship, but we get captured by Balma's man, hangs us over the crocodiles. But before we get dropped, Greenway tells him where his sister is and lets us go. Now we go to the ship where we find a briefcase holding information for 009. Bond was right, but right when they leave, they get attacked by the twins and their group, and the briefcase gets destroyed by the militia group, as it seems that the hero's story will come to a fatal end. The Pirate King Balma comes and saves the two. Back in MI6, both get told that 009 will be blamed for everything. Bond and Greenway won't accept that to the sniper, to find out that it's one of the twins came to finish a job. Moneypenny helps him track the twin down to Webb Industries Gala. Bond tracks down the twin, who was Murto. They get into a fight, and Murto gets pierced and killed. Bond picks Murto's more like Muerto.
What are they, vegetables or fruit?
Whatever. He picks his ear and interrupts us and drugs us. We wake up to find that Damien is Webb's son, but also find out that her name is Isolde. Both escape and Bond makes his way to Greenway to find out that Greenway is still alive. Bond informs Greenway of everything. They both take a trip to Webb Industries and break in. They try to reach Webb's office but can't, as it's heavily guarded. They run into Isola, the mystery woman, who helps them get in and rummage around. We find out that Damien has antisocial disorder that might have been caused to the death of his mother when he was 8, which has made Damien a very hateful person. And Webb has exploited that. What an asshole. Damien and Webb walk into the office where we find out Damien is being sent to Vietnam to clean up a mess made by Thea. Bond and James sneak into Perch to find dirt on Webb, where they find out that Thea makes mistakes. The thing that they naively believed couldn't make mistakes has been feeding them false info all along. Do this by Webb. They also find that there was never a mole ring. 009 was framed by Webb. It was all a lie. Webb pulls up and tries to give a bullshit reason to why he's done this, but they don't fall for it. Bond and Greenway escape very reasonably. Greenway is upset. He killed innocent people. His friend couldn't catch that they were being framed, so he leaves and gives up. Let's pause for a little bit. Imagine how you would feel if you find out that a computer that has been informing you for so long that your bosses trusted it and told that there was a mole ring in AMI6, and then there was and that one of your partners that you've been with for so long was one of those moles, and now you've been ordered to kill them. Of course you do it, because orders are orders, and anything for the security of your country is a decade goes by. You infiltrate and enter the same computer to find out that it was all a lie and you didn't realize until now. Like, just think about it. I would feel so empty and guilt for not being able to catch that lie. If I was Greenway, I would also give up. You also have to feel for Bond. He's still trying to get revenge for the man responsible for the death of his friends. But James' story is not over just yet. He's still going and fighting as he heads to Vietnam, acting as a villain who is staying at a resort. M meets Bond in a secret location, telling Bond that him and Greenway are now considered terrorists for what happened in Webb Industries. She sends Bond to Vietnam to stop Damien from covering up one of Thea's mistakes and to find solid evidence against Nicholas Webb. We also are there to protect 3 targets from Damien, and one of them, Teresa Lorca, who Bond, of course, can't help himself but slide up on her. After this, we join the party, but Damien got to Teresa, and it's up to us save her. And also, be of the other targets, it doesn't matter. Only Teresa. We save her and also get rid of the last twin, Myrtle. But there was an explosion, and we wake up about to be killed by Damien. Not before Greenway comes back and saves the day. We both start chasing after Damien, but Greenway gets hurt along the way and can't continue. Bond chases Damien alone, and presumably kills Damien. We find Greenway, and he's hurt bad. And sadly, he can't go on any further. And asks James one last favor. Don't let it change you. After this, his head falls under the shadow and dies. And James, whose head is still above the shadow, must move on and bring Nicholas Webb to justice. James returns to London, where he finds out that Webb is planning or doing the biggest security leak in UK history. If he doesn't get complete immunity, so M agrees. James, of course, is angry about this and tells her that Webb has a different supercomputer called Hyperion that must hold all the proof for Thea's mistake. He tells him to back off, begs Moneypenny for help, and tells Bond that if he does this, it will be considered high treason, and to promise her that he won't do it. Bond doesn't listen and infiltrates QLab to get equipment and leaves MI6 facility. Isola lets Bond know that she is going to Webb's Antarctica facility to kill Webb. Bond catches a ride with her. Now Bond spends time with her where they both open up to each other, just enough where they sleep together. After Bond bonded all over Isola, they reach Antarctica where they infiltrate the facility. Bond finds Hyperion where Isola stabs us in the back, kills Webb, and takes Hyperion. And Bond chases her and destroys Hyperion. I guess if he can't have it, no one can have it. What a baby. After turning himself in, he is charged with high treason, but there's a break-in where it's up to Bond to secure MI6. And to get rid of the intruders, Bond tries to locate where Moneypenny is at. The intruders are trying to take Moneypenny is that as the intruders are trying to take Daya, once he makes it, Moneypenny is being held by none other than Damien. Once Damien gets Daya, he stabs Moneypenny and leaves Bond to deal with her. Luckily, Hugh is there to help, and Bond chases after Damien, where he sacrifices himself and takes him and Damien down. After Isola saves Bond, we stand over Greenway grave with M and officially become 007. What a game. One of the best this year, and even one of the best games I've ever played. The story, the combat, it was all great. Yes, there's some bad, but not everything is perfect. The lows are not low enough to ruin the game. So yeah, that will be it. If you enjoyed it, if you enjoyed the video, like and comment. It will help me a lot with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't, please subscribe as well. Until next time, bye.